People often say that marriage rests on a foundation of trust. But what do you do when that foundation crumbles beneath you? For the longest time, I truly believed that my wife, Sarah, and I shared a bond strong enough to survive anything life threw at us. We weren't flawless, no couple is, but we were a unit. Or so I convinced myself. Now, with the clarity of hindsight, I can see the subtle signs I should have noticed. Minor inconsistencies. Little red flags. But when you love someone deeply, you overlook those flaws. You see the relationship as a whole, not the cracks forming at its base. The day everything unraveled began no differently than any other. I was working from my home office, immersed in spreadsheets and emails, while Sarah had plans to meet a friend for lunch. I never once questioned her whereabouts. She was my wife, my life partner, the person I thought I knew better than anyone. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unfamiliar number. The text was brief, but bone-chilling. "You deserve to know what's really going on. Look at this." Attached was a blurry photo. It showed Sarah sitting across from a man I didn't recognize in a small cafe. Their bodies were leaned in far too close for comfort, their expressions far too intimate for casual conversation. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was someone from her past. A childhood friend? A cousin maybe? But deep inside, something didn't sit right. A gnawing sense of dread crept in, whispering that this was more than just a friendly reunion. I stared at that image for what felt like an eternity before I made a decision. I had to find out the truth. That evening, Sarah came home with her usual warmth and cheer, going on about how great it was catching up with her friend Lisa. I played along, pretending to be interested, while every part of me screamed inside. If she was deceiving me, she did a flawless job of hiding it. But the photo had already cracked the illusion. Her posture, the way her fingers lightly touched that man's arm, it was all seared into my mind. In the following days, I became more observant. Her phone, which once sat forgotten on countertops, never left her side. Her weekend errands stretched into hours-long disappearances, and her excuses started feeling flimsy. "Just a quick trip to the store," she'd say, only to return with something trivial. Maybe some fruit or a carton of milk. One evening, while she was in the shower, I gave in to my suspicions. My hands trembled as I picked up her phone. Her passcode hadn't changed. I opened her messages, and at first, everything looked normal. Then a name caught my eye, Lauren. But Lauren wasn't who they claimed to be. I opened the conversation, and my stomach dropped. It was the man from the cafe. Their messages were full of teasing, inside jokes I couldn't decipher, and plans to meet. One message struck like a dagger. "Can't wait to see you again. Same spot tomorrow." A wave of emotions surged through me: rage, heartbreak, confusion, but above all, a numb resolve took hold. I wasn't going to confront her just yet. If she thought she could keep this hidden, I would let her believe that, at least long enough for me to gather everything I needed. The next day, I told her I had to stay late at work. In reality, I parked my car a block from that same cafe. From where I waited, I had a clear line of sight to the entrance. Sure enough, an hour later, she arrived with him. His hand rested lightly on the small of her back as they entered. I took photos, my heart thudding in my chest as I watched them sit close, laugh, and exchange soft touches. Every second was agony. But I stayed calm. Not yet. Over the next few weeks, I documented everything. I tracked her movements, saved screenshots of her messages, and even recorded a phone conversation where she blatantly lied about where she was. By the time I decided to confront her, my evidence was airtight. She couldn't deny it even if she tried. It was a Friday night. After dinner, once the dishes were done and the kids were upstairs, I made my move. Sarah sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone, unaware of the storm she was about to face. I placed the printed photos and text screenshots on the table in front of her. She looked up, puzzled. "What's this?" she asked, confusion in her voice. "You tell me," I replied, calm but unwavering. "Is this Lisa or Lauren or someone else I should know about?" Color drained from her face as she glanced through the images. For a moment, she said nothing, just flicked her gaze between the papers and my eyes. Finally, she spoke, voice trembling. Mike, I can explain. Go ahead, I said coldly. I'm listening. She tried everything: denial, half-truths, vague excuses. She insisted it was harmless, that the messages were nothing more than jokes between old friends. But then I hit play on the audio recording. That was the moment her mask slipped. Tears welled up as she broke down. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she sobbed. My voice rose without thinking. That wasn't conversation, Sarah. That was deception. You crossed a line. She sat there crying, but I felt nothing. Her tears had no effect on me, not anymore. I had already mourned the collapse of our marriage during the weeks I spent piecing together the truth. By the time I confronted her, there were no tears left in me, only a sense of numb clarity. I looked her in the eyes and told her it was over. I want a divorce. She immediately panicked, pleading with me to give her another chance. She promised to cut ties with the other man. She offered to go to therapy to try anything. But I had already made my decision. Some things, once broken, cannot be made whole again. Trust is one of them. And I couldn't continue building a future with someone who had so carelessly shattered our past. I didn't waste any time. I locked down our shared bank accounts to prevent her from using our savings for her secret life. That Monday, I officially filed the divorce papers. My lawyer assured me that with the evidence I had collected, the court would likely side with me during the settlement process. As it turned out, the man she had risked everything for wasn't looking for anything long-term. When she informed him of the divorce, he disappeared. No replies, no explanations. He abandoned her, leaving her to deal with the consequences on her own. Meanwhile, I focused on picking up the pieces. It's been a year since that painful confrontation. A few months ago, the divorce was finalized. I bought a new house and started fresh. The kids live with me most of the time, though they